Welcome back everyone. Here is the summit. Next up is the keynote speech. Keynote speaker is Dr. Meng, Associate Professor of Hokkaido University.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Okay, good afternoon, colleagues. Thanks all the organizers and students, professors in Ryukyu University, and I'm very happy to deliver my keynote speech about our island and micro-island entrepreneurship. So I come from Hokkaido University, where it's -11 right now. So yesterday when I come to Ryukyu, people ask where you come from, because they feel I'm very hot. It is hot. Yeah, it's so nice to be here. I'm working in the Center for Advanced Tourism Studies. Well, the mission of our center is not just a research center. We also conduct a lot of collaboration with the industries. We also train professional DMO, destination manager, from our program. They are all work from local tourism industry, tourism association, and also local government. So, since today's topic is about island and tourism, I think I belongs to both the Tourism Studies Society as well as the Island Studies Society. There is I need to introduce the 4 most important island study journals, which are all open access so far. And if you heard, some people may notice there is one journal called Okinawan Journal of Island Study, which is located in this institute. Yesterday morning, I visited this center, and it's the first English international peer-reviewed open access journal for Japan, which is very important because Japan started, later I will mention, Japan's island study is very earlier than other regions in the Asian Pacific. So there is another journal from Korea, and the SEAMA journal from Australia, which is a Q1 ESAI index journal, and also everybody probably heard about island study, the only SSAI journal in the island study world. Okay, back to my topic, only 2 parts. One part is about our island in the Seto Inland Sea. Probably you heard about one of the biggest rural Triennale tourism happens in the Seto Inland Sea. 12 art islands revitalize their community because Japan is suffering the aging issue. So another topic is during the COVID-19, this big investigate art island is facing problem. It's not enough tourists come after the COVID-19. So after the COVID-19, we are talking about small is a new big from creative tourism studies. So I will start with the first art topic. Before, there is a publication last year, I lead a kind of a discussion about island studies in East Asia. What is the background about island study in East Asia? So we choose 4 regions, Japan, South Korea, China, and Taiwan. So we try to compare the island development policy between these 4 regions. Let's just look at Japan, because we are talking about island study in Okinawa. And Japan island study actually separate to 3 layers. One is called the border island. They receive special policy, like a militarized, kind of extra funding for promoting tourism, for example. At the same time, the southern island, which is here, a very early island study discussion actually started from here, the Ryukyu Islands. And another recent tourism development trend happened in the Seto Inland Sea Island, which is my research field. There are 323 habitant small islands over there. Yeah, so what's the issue in the East Asian context about island study? So we found out very interesting, China and South Korea share similar kind of island development policy from a very continental kind of perspective. At the same time, Japan and Taiwan share similar issue because we will consider Honshu as a mainland. Like Taiwan, the major island is also the mainland, but there is also remote island in compared with the mainland. So, and for tourism development, I found one issue about, there is a one-size-fits-all policy for this kind of development. Okay. So let me emphasize again. So the tourism, island tourism development, Japan and Taiwan actually share more similar issue because they apply all kind of similar tourism development policy for for all destinations, but we all know island also in what we call SEAMA in Japanese context. It's a very diversified word. One island, one word. Even one island, different communities might share very different culture. Then Japan has one more urgent issue of depopulation, aging, and stagnation. Young people move out of the island. I think Okinawa is a quite different case. I'm very glad to hear a lot of people move in to Okinawa. Then talk about depopulation, we have to move to the rural study lenses. Depopulation are highly related to rural revitalization in Japan, especially with the tourism, because the first and second industry is declining very dramatically. After analyze 1,600 paper about rural revitalization in Japan, we can see a trend in the recent 20 years. The discussion is moving away from development into tourism revitalization. We can see this kind of trend. Okay, in terms of author, for the people who are not publishing in Japanese, only in the English literature, you can see this kind of trend. And there are two scholars, including me and Susanna Klein. We are really engaging with the art revitalization topic in Japan. And back to her early work, she talked about this kind of art, putting art in rural communities, kind of top-down planning and local participation. But I spent 13 years to improve this theory a little bit into new endogenous revitalization, which means without top-down, without art, without tourism, nothing will be revitalized. But you can't only give this kind of top-down development if local do not willing to co-create. There is no revitalization. So to this topic, I want to show you from a geographic distribution. The picture on the left side is the depopulation area. The red area will be disappeared completely out of the population by 2040. So except major city in Japan, this area will not be sustained anymore. On the right hand, you can see a lot of regional scale art festival, hundreds of the small scale art festival popping up in the regional context, try to do something with the community. Because the successful Ichigo Tsumari and all the community, a lot of islands also starting their art project. But is this really work? Is all the community can be revitalized by the art? Can art can be a tool or be something else? That is the key question. My field work is Seto Inland Sea. I really like those islands. As I mentioned, it's been called the DNA of Japan because in the old time, before the railway established, is people rely on sea route transportation. So therefore, each island, each port town develops their own culture. My field work island distribute 33 islands in this area, including what I mentioned, the big scale Triennale Island and the small scale, very diversified, very limited resources, but people want to do something to promoting tourism and the community revitalization. So recent 5 years, I published a lot based on the region, based on different sites, with also different topic. Okay, let's go to the main topic about art, tourism, and island, and why art tourism happens in rural community and island. Every discussion about art tourism, back to the Guggenheim Museum effect from the urban creativity. We always travel somewhere, we go to culture district, we go to art zone. This is very cool for Tokyo and Osaka, but gradually they change to more local context, like the Mona effect, the Museum of Old and New Art in Hobart, Tasmania. After they building this kind of art museum in suburb, they bring 16% of the tourism flow. So it's quite interesting. Then the discussion directly come to the Seto Inland Sea of Japan, which we call the Naoshima effect. They start this Triennale and art development from 2010, and every year for a population only 4,000 people, they bring 1 million tourists every 100 days, each 3 years each. Then, back to our topic, why small island is very important for our discussion. How can we think about them? First, they have a very limited resources, and also it's because there is a limited resources, relational kind of way of thinking is very important to connect tourism resources from outside world. And during this process, how we see the rural restructuring is very important. And every island community has a different setting and resources, and how we really treat this process is very interesting. So this is some photo. I'm not giving an art class, show you how many interesting art on this island. It's very interesting. It's very non-local landscape kind of applied on those islands. The artists use abandoned houses and also some creative strategy, create a kind of business with locals. Let's take a look the result of this art island making for the 20 years. Top 10 travel destination in Japan, right after Kyoto, by Lonely Planet, by travel magazines. Also, on the right side, there is a museum, 100 museum selection ranking. Two of the Setouchi Art Museum are ranked the top 15 of the whole world. And why that happened so quickly? We need a little bit theoretical framework from creative tourism. We can see all kind of cultural tourism on small destinations to try to become more active form. And also, not really art is not really limited from the high culture. They try to merge with the pop culture and everyday culture as well. So that's why they call it is revitalization. But the literature review really shows a gap between social science study and art history, because one side says artists should focus on make successful art, but on the other hand, what about the successful community and successful island? How do we really give this framework? So there is this discussion still continue, and both sides really make sense. And the art sides propose more research question cannot be answered. That's the very interesting part. But based on this research gap, I built three kind of keywords: art, tourism, and island. Very easy to understand. After I put these three keywords together, three research questions also merged. First, I want to know what happened with art. Second, what I want to see how creative tourism through art happens. And three, evaluate what exactly art revitalization is for those island communities. So I will skip the detailed data analysis. I just show you the result. I spent 6 years on those 12 art islands, and focus on the major one who received the most tourists and shares the museum. I talked with all tourism stakeholders, conducted 200 questionnaire, 150 interviews, and also I talked to festival officials. This art festival require really complicated partnership. I never see something so complicated. Each island community has their own government, own local groups. Let's just talk about how do we evaluate. I found two types of artworks. The majority of artworks just move away from the city-urban context, apply into this place. There is only tourists enjoy this kind of landscape. Look at the picture on the right. So this is 2 months ago. This is kind of like after it finished, it's become a very high-end Italian restaurant. Local people do not really enjoy it. But on the other hand, they have very good artwork, try to give opportunity for local people to work inside, talk to tourists. They're also managed by volunteer and U-turn people, like means the people grow up from the island. So the first early publication really demonstrate they are successful cases. They are also not that successful cases. Some island, a lot of people, we talk about happiness this morning, a lot of people are shows more happier because they can enjoy the art and business, even the local people. But some of the island is only belongs to the tourists. So art revitalization is definitely effective tool to revitalize the community, but the deeper research show you it's not that simple. So therefore, we need a cooperation. The second keynote mentioned about co-emerging, right? Emergencies. Now I talk about cooperation. Then there is another follow-up study on rural study. We keep talking about the three successful islands. We found out this successful based on very different resources and historical background, and also the context of island. So back to this framework, three successful cases, for example, now SEAMA is more famous, so you want to be an art island in Japan, but Teshima on the other hand, they want to transform the art tourists into the island tourists. They want them to enjoy their community. On the other hand, Ogijima is very small. They don't want over-tourism in summer and under-tourism in winter, so they more care about their own community development. A lot of immigrants come here to create their own business. From the official interview, their understanding of art, island revitalization, first, they bring people which we call the visiting population in Japan. Second stage, they want people to be connected with those communities. They call it the kankei-jinko, which means relational population. And the stage 3, if those businesses can serve both locals and tourists, they play a social enterprise and tourism business role. It's a very mixed relationship. So in that case, it's our revitalization. So in simply speaking, stage 1, if art arrive on a community, of course tourists will come. During this process, they have two possibilities. In the best way, if this business can really benefit local people, I call it is exogenous and endogenous, both match, top down and bottom up. If in the worst case, the money go outside the community, people do not really stay there, there is no hope for the community to stop the depopulation, no immigrants. Therefore, if the island can maintain this cycle to reach a co-creation way, I would say, the island can be revitalized. In my case, yes. I have more detailed information. I encourage people to read the original article. I will not explain the detailed process because this April we will have a new publication launch with my colleague Caroline Funk. And we basically categorize 4 types of art islands in Japan, how it works very differently. I will not talk about the details. Now I will move to the second biggest topic. After COVID-19, big art festivals stopped working because the tourists stopped coming. What happened with the other islands is becoming more interesting and diversified. Therefore, we moved to the western side of the Seto Inland Sea. I also did some islands during the lockdown because I can't reach too far. So one case study I did in Mitala. Mitala in Japanese means toilet. But that island is some emperor and royal people wash their hands, so that's how it started the name, but it doesn't matter. In the past, the population is 1,000, now it's 224. 2/3 of the population are retired, which we call the pension population. So 1/3 of the population above 80s, you would rarely see those people. I started this project in this town because the local told me we don't have enough people, we don't have enough effort to attract people, we don't have enough immigrants, therefore. So the early project, I really did a lot of work. I didn't really know a lot about this place. I'm listening from locals. They say they want young Japanese people to come back, but in the reality, I also conduct a survey with a lot of young people in the city. They say no, they don't want to come back. They want to save some money. Maybe when they retire, they want to come back. So there's a gap between the expectation and what they actually receive. So with Professor Joseph Chair, we collaborate 3 papers. I guess this is a very important one. We try to stop the debate of development and really try to shift this from development to revitalization, because we can't develop a rural place or island place forever. Of course, they organize small-scale art market events. It definitely cannot compare with the art island in the Naoshima, for example. So, but we find the charming part to be small. You have a small budget, low cost, and also very interactive local network and people to connect with each other. It's more like a kind of a semi-artist, but also a semi-volunteer group in the community. So in this research, we try to discuss what is the power to be small. So it's a co-planning with the community, co-development, and co-benefit from each other, because without community, there is no stage for artists to perform. There is no art, this community has nothing, no tourists will come here. So it's a very interesting dilemma. So a small-scale art festival called Shosai, the Tight Art Festival. At the beginning, they really tried to start from small with like 10 artists, kind of occupied 10 weekend building. But during the COVID-19, the artists also worried the tourists will bring the disease to the local elderly people because there is no hospital. The closest hospital takes 3 hours driving. Therefore, but after the COVID-19 recovery, this art festival is growing gradually bigger and bigger. This is some photo of this community art festival. They allow local people to vote the artwork. So this is quite different compared with the top-down policy on Naoshima. You just enjoy whatever we build. But here, the local is the decision maker. They judge which artwork they like, which they don't. And small equals safer as well. Not just the artist group, the local businesses also try to find a creative strategy to satisfy both local and also the tourists. So let's compare the big and small. We will find out the big is amazing, but it's not very sustainable in case of impact like COVID-19. But small is very flexible, but small is also very fragile when they are out of funding. So we go back to the new endogenous framework. So we can see there's no way community can find a way by themselves. They must use some way to connect with the outside world, but there is a more exogenous way. There is also a more endogenous way. I also have another case study, but I will not talk about this. I think after those studies and those publications really make me think about we need to do some more action research to do something back to the community. So therefore, we start this documentary project and funded by Hiroshima University back at that time. It's a very simple student work. I cannot really match with yesterday's documentary, but I want to show a trailer. So it's we basically spent 1 year on the island with 10 students. Each student become a small director for each topic. We try to remember locals' life because a lot of people keep passing away. If we don't remember what they did in this community, this will become a heritage forever, and nobody remembers them.
で空き家がほとんどで、補助とかもまだ出ないうちは家がもうボロボロになる一方だったんです。
本当に毎年人口がこの島だけでも今100人ずつ50人ずつぐらいは減っていく中で、もう30年後は数字を見ちゃうともう怖いですよね。
それも高齢化しとるから、それから子供らもいっぱいおったし、我々の子供らが同級生らもいっぱいおったし。
ほんでイタリアに住んでてもすごいさ寂しいの。
みかん農家で僕らが帰った時には6500人おった。今1500人だけどね。
学校も多分小中学校がなくなってる可能性もあるし、そうなるともう落ちる一方じゃないですか。10年後はそうなってたらもう20年後はもっとっていう話で。
回れないのでね、60過ぎの病院、ここ島でしょ、だから病院まで1時間2時間かかる、2時間ぐらいかかるんですよ。
I think it's about bringing people from outside that area in rural areas.
They come again and again
With kind of new, fresh ideas and fresh energy.
今年からの畑なんですけど、土地を借りるっていうのはすごいやっぱ難しいところですね。
This person created a film festival on the island for the local people.
映画を撮っている監督さんにこちらの島に来る機会を提供して、
インタライ含めてこの豊島街道をアートなイベントとかアートな島にしたいっていうのも一つですけど。
Not just for people to come, but for people currently living in that area and for future generations as well. So as long as there are more people connected to their area, to Mitarai, I think Mitarai will continue to revitalize it.
この辺りで絵になるような場所はありますかって聞いたときにミタライを紹介していただいて、移住することを決めました。
毎朝来て、だから朝来るのが楽しいな。
綺麗ですね、今日。
毎日360日違うんですよ、本当にね。大げさじゃなくてね。だからその朝日見るのが楽しいんですよ。
They have their own music as well. Actually, students made the music by themselves as well. Okay, I will continue my last part. After really making this project, we have a deeper understanding about those communities instead of just interview people and publish papers. Then at the end of December, I kind of have another topic about what our finding from this documentary project and publish on the event management. We talk about social entrepreneurship. It's not just tourism development. We need to think about the co-development between community as well as the creative events. So one local festival, art festival, film festival, and music festival, we really try to see what's the power of an event on co-creating the community. And this morning we have that presentation about island happiness. And last year we also launched a book chapter. We talk about newcomers. They have to deal with a lot of challenge move to rural Japan. And especially during the pandemic, they have to really suffer the income loss from the tourism part. But they have to do something to enhance the community as well. It's very difficult to do. Meanwhile, you want an income, but you are worried about the tourists will bring the virus. So there is a lot of online and offline creative initiatives done by those promotion group. So other case study, we have 3 case studies for this part. We found a lot of local group and government group try to promote the island tourism and also try to attract island entrepreneurship into the Seto Inland Sea. So therefore, we have another discussion to talk about the power of the small. Let's look back Mitalai again. This is the population of tourists number and the local infection cases. I think after the November of 2020, the local tourism already recovered. Meanwhile, on Naoshima, this big scale art festival still suffer. They don't have enough people to come to see art anymore. Then therefore, on the contrary, small is really become big. Then let's take a closer look how the small business is coping with this kind of issue. So you can see this picture on the left. Locals are allowed to go inside the shop, but tourists stay outside. So you can see everybody found their creative place. So business still continue, and locals also have their social kind of gathering places. This is not tourism business. This is a hybrid business between tourism and local community. So therefore, during our funding, it's an embedded network, we call it, spatially. Nobody have a fixed job on the island. Some people do, sometimes they do writing, sometimes do photograph, sometimes they become a farmer, sometimes they reopen their business. So everybody become more busy than their life in Tokyo. That's a very common word I heard from those newcomers. In summary, they have a business networks during this period. It's a highly competitive from other business like everywhere else in this world. At the same time, they collaborate at the island level. They also create their entrepreneur network because we have very limited resources, like I mentioned on the island. They have to do something. On the other hand, on the social part, non-business part, they collaborate and promote their community because they want more people to come to the island. Without people, the island will eventually disappear. In the end, they also have a local non-business network with a long-term resident. So therefore, I can give some example on Ogijima. Ogijima library are designed in this way to satisfy both 4 type of needs by different kind of social group. It's a library for school kids. It's also a cafe for tourists is also an information hub for people who want to move to this island. So it's multifunctional and it's not single business anymore. More and more this case also emerged in the Seto Inland Sea area. I would say for the non-business, for the non-tourism part is also very important. It's a community engaged social innovation network. So we also just published a new paper on Habitat International, talk about the official newcomer group called Chikuokushi Kyokutai. The official group, only 50% of people can eventually stay in their island after 3 years. But we're thinking the local NPO has bigger power. So with Chia, we did another experiment on Osaki Kamijima because it's the only education island designated by Japanese government. They want to make an island not tourism, not art, but they want to try the education by building schools to bring sustainability education and keep young people stay on their community. So we did art and sustainability education. Through this workshop, 14-year-old kids, they really deep mapping and artist book and sound installations. They really understand their community in a very creative way. They provide solution for the locals. And this paper will be published on SEAMA in the April. Okay, let me summarize what I just said. Do I have more time?
Yes.
Maybe 2 minutes. Because local people from Seto Inland Sea really help us a lot. The end of this project in the Seto Inland Sea, we have to make something for the community back. So there is a short promotion video was created as a gift to the community. So they are using it on their Tobishima Life website. So
妻と一緒に田舎の環境がいいところに、住みたいという話になりました。
東京とか大阪にいなくても島で仕事ができる人が増えると思う。
僕も東京から6年前にこっちへ来ました。
離島じゃなくて橋でつながってるこの地域がなんとなくいいなという。
で飛島ライフの活動としてもその移住者さんをフューチャーして SNS に投稿したりっていうのがあって、
若い人らといろんな話をしながら特産品出すというのは本当に面白いですね。
この辺りで絵になるような場所はありますかと聞いたときに、移住することを決めました。
優しい生活になっちゃう。
千葉も山なので緑がすごく多くて、私がもともと生き物が好きなのがあるんですけど。
Back to the community, so we don't just took their data and publish paper, we thank them for providing this help. So in the end, I think I just summarize what I just said. Big scale art, kind of a top down and bottom up, collaborate kind of method works for the island, but not works for all the community. We need to study deeper to understand in what case it works. It's like a vaccine. Vaccine is not working for 100% of people. We need to know why it costs this. The same for the art island revitalization. It's amazing. It needs a lot of budget input from the people working in Tokyo put into the island. But at the same time, we have to look at the power of a small. How island without any charming, not tourism, no good service business, no infrastructures, how do they survive this kind of process? But in the end, I think this summer in Dublin, the World Geographic Union, I will we will have a book launch for the new handbook of tourism geography. I will talk about everything in one chapter about rural creative tourism geography. And all my publications related to island is available on this Dropbox links. You are very welcome to download, and I'm happy to have a further discussion with everyone. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the speech, Dr. Chu. Now we'd like to move on to this presentation about the theme of keynote speech. We will request the moderator to Professor Green.
Big praise your voice, Sensei. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chi. Yeah, I'm Yoshigetani. Yeah, but I'm not the specialty in this field. I'm specialty in business studies. So maybe something difficult for me. And so, are there some questions or comments? Yes, please.
Hi. So while doing some research in the islands, I came across the theme of seclusion, like something that is hard to find. Some people who came because they like the concept that is difficult to find. So my first question is, were there any tourists who visited because it's difficult to find, like top hidden places? And my next question is something that I've been thinking, is there something called positive seclusion and revitalization? Because something hidden might not be a bad thing, and I'm not too sure. It was just something that I thought about during my recent research in some islands. Yeah.
So, thank you for your question. I think it's not easy for people to locate to an island if you don't know the people. Like I think yesterday you mentioned you go to every community full-time because we need to learn to trust. The people, they rather want their house to dedicate to IKEA, to a weekend house. There is a reason, because if they don't trust you, they will not welcome you to live there. So they care about their neighborhood. One respondent mentioned, because it's from my grandparents' parents, it cannot be just ended at my generation. But what should we do? Rather, we want them to go back to nature, because there is a Butsudan, there is an ancestor there. On the other hand, some willing people to live, but finding a house on the island is not like finding a apartment in Tokyo. You can't make it too easy. So that's the first extra answer. I think the second question, can you mention again? What does that mean?
So is there like a relationship between positive seclusion, which means like
how do you define that?
Yeah, which means when people think about it, it's not always a good thing. It is something hard to find. Like, okay, this town is very hard to find, so we don't go there. But some people choose to go there because it is hard to find. So is there like a positive linkage between, because it's hard to find, it can be sort of, there's something sustainable there?
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So in the previous slide, I mentioned about this group of network and their roles. Because this network, a lot of them are U-turn people. They grow up from the island. They know everybody. Like yesterday, I think some people also mentioned similar thing. Without these people, it takes time. Some people spend 2 years to find a good location, and that's why we have another discussion about Chikotai. If you can't find local, you join the government official kind of a revitalization group. You go to a community, they give you 3 years, do local services, working for the local community, and 3 years later, they provide you free accommodation. During the 3 years, they will see if you are really suitable for this community and successful, create a business or work in some industry job. So in that case, they make a good relationship. But there is a downside. From some respondents, I heard the cases people fail of living in rural places, for example. Some people brought a hatake on the island, because it was Mekong farm, but they started to grow flower because they think flower is much more romantic. But they don't know anything about agriculture. They failed several years. They can't grow anything. Then they go back to Tokyo. This case also works. There's also other cases like they don't feel they belong to that community. Therefore, it's all kind of cases come and go. But I think in kind of a pattern, we need a key change maker to introduce people there. It's much easier. Like the share house, Osaki Kamijima, Tobishima Life try to promote this island Iju network, immigrant network, and Ogijima Library are all similar social enterprise plus tourism business. I think that's the micro-entrepreneurship, mixed entrepreneurship is where the real power is. If we can receive more of this kind of business, there's more hope for island to make a change. I hope I understand, answered that question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there some other questions or comment? Yeah, Kika-sensei, please.
Before my questions, I went to the Okamura Jimajima because I got awards. It's a festival.
Yes.
So that's why I said I know him very much. So my question is like that because this is actually my question as well. Because for example, people immigrant to such an island, maybe they do have the different idea into their lifestyle view. So because they don't go there because just economical reason. For example, if you pay less money for the rent, so but you can get money, something like that. But I think that they do have such a worldview. They don't care about such a kind of economy, but they want to live in the more good quality or some other or their worldview. So how do you calculate that worldview? Because they are quite different from the people living in the Tokyo. So that's why they moved to there. So I think that for me also always question. Please, if you have the idea, please let me know.
Thank you very much. That's a really great question. I can provide you some further information. Some people come here, they are tired of Tokyo and Osaka. That's an interesting starting. They want to do something which are different from where they come from. But a few years later, they kind of are missing that kind of life. They go back, or they go between Tokyo and the island. Because only stay on the island, if you are not connect with the outside world, your life become very dry. But they live in there, they will tell their friend in Tokyo, they have a really amazing life on the island. That's how they feel happiness. It's not because local people can understand them. Because on the other hand, some people really like there and do something for the local. But at the same time, they feel very stressed because you have to give a lot of time, commitment to the community, talking with the local grandparents. But some people are okay, some people can't suffer that. They rather want to go back to big city because you don't need to be bothered by any strangers. Then there is also other cases like a grandpa turn and like they grow up from the island, then they come back. In that case, it's easier because they still knowing the people, they still have an idea how to improve this community through a very moderate way, not very aggressive. Because newcomer interns, sometimes they do crazy things. In Japanese literature, we call them bagamono, yosomono, yeah, and wakamono. Yeah, hope I give you some answers. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mo. I'm always so amazed by how much research you have done in these island communities, and to see that now you're making films out of it. It's a nice addition to it all. And if you want to comment on the challenges of making films out of research, that would be welcome as well. But my question relates to, I mean, after you've researched so many different communities, and so you can kind of compare them. So I'd like to know, what are the characteristics of the communities that accept migrants the most, that help them really strive? Like, are there some community characteristics that lead to this better that you have noticed?
Thank you. That's a great question. Like Ogijima Library is one of the really good case I talk to everybody, because the owners grow up from the island, and because the art festival come back, but the art festival has nothing to do with his project. He's renovating collapsing houses, then also create a website and told people there is available houses. Do you have interest to my community? What do you plan to do? Because we don't need a 2 cafe, we might need a restaurant. Do you have interest? He provides this kind of information. At the meantime, he provided a place where the only place school kids after school where they can go to read book and have fun. And also at the same time, tourists and locals, they all can enjoy and reading book or enjoy a cafe, having a curry or something like that. In that case, that's the very good example. I call those people change makers. The same thing for the Tobishima, it's not a U-turn, it's an I-turn, but they want to make a network. Because the government's funding are cut between 2 prefectures, between Hiroshima and Ehime. But the island chain, culturally speaking, they share similar culture. They want to promote this area as a whole, not really limited by the political boundary. That's very interesting. So therefore, this NPO group is also play a lot of roles. At the same time, the government program also brings some people. So it's very complicated in the reality, but they all work in a very different way. For the some community have a lot of immigrants, I would say it's still a cooperation between the new and old. For community, additional information, for some island receive a lot of young people, sometimes it's not a good thing as well. It's bring too many new ideas. So the elderly people, they never see this level of changes in their life. So they also need to adapt. And there is a conflict, collaboration keep happening based on this dramatic population change. I think that's also worth a long-term study. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have some question. Actually, I make some research in the Nago area, and I found that very strange thing before with the clash between immigrant and local people. Actually, in many places, a lot of immigrants have some clash with the local people because of their way of life or thinking. But in Nago, there are very, very soft clash. There are nearly nothing to clash because in Nago, most of immigrants are living in the same area, and communication between them is quite limited. But they do very well between them. And are there same kind of situation in your area, the Setouchi area?
Good point. We really need. That's why we need to compare different islands. I think for my cases in the Tobishima Kaido area, they have 6 islands. The people there give a deeper understanding. This is not because newcomer and local long-term resident. Sometimes this gap happens between generations.
Yes.
Yeah, if elderly people move to the island, it's much easier to connect with the elderly people on the island. But because there is a very limited young people on the island, of course, young people themselves become a network. So that's another level to understand. But there is one more way to think about it, because recently we also see a lot of women, single women move to the island. In very conservative island community, be a woman there alone is somehow kind of troublesome. We see the women create their own business. She wants to create a cafe. She talked to the island villager, says, I want a cafe. The local says, we don't need a cafe. What is a cafe? So she just do it. It's happening.
Is that cafe the customer is mainly for the tourists, or
that island no tourists come?
Also,
she said we need a cafe, then the tourists will come. But local people said we don't need tourists, we don't need cafe. But she make it happen. There is a cafe, then the people come. Then people see the change, they have no problem with
the
it.
people mean the tourists?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot of this kind of story, but I think it's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And any other question, comment? No. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Meng.